Bishop Cotta, it's going to be hard to get used to that for most of us here at the Diocesan Center and in the diocese too. We'll still be tripping up on Monsignor every once in a while.
Colin, it's hard for you, it's hard for me.
Now, there was an embargo on this, of course, in the announcement that was made Friday morning. And I understand you couldn't tell your mother until that embargo was lifted. What did your mother say?
Well, I was in Sacramento already on Friday to have the press conference there and then to meet with Bishop and meet the pastoral staff and all. And so I was early, so I pulled over in the side street before getting to the pastoral center for the first time. And I said, I think I better call Mom, because this was now the whole unfolding of this on that morning. And so I called her and she said, what's up? And I said, I'm in Sacramento. And she said, well, why are you in Sacramento? And I said, well, I'm here to meet with the bishop. I said, because there's a big announcement going to be made here this morning. Well, what announcement? Then I told her. She goes, what? So she was taken back by it and all that. And I said, well, try to get my brother and my sisters and let them know, because I'm going to be heading over there now at 9 o'clock. So she was surprised, and all the mixed feelings that go with all that, sure. But family's excited. And
I can imagine.
But a little further away, so that's always an issue with Mom and family and, family gatherings and stuff. But still in California, thanks be to God. So that's good.
Now she can say, my son the bishop.
I guess
that's
you can.
Right. And it's only about 160 miles away, so that's not too bad.
Right.
What does really an auxiliary bishop do?
Well, auxiliary, even the word, it means, to assist, to help. So as bishop, you're a co-worker of the ordinary, the bishop that really is overseeing the diocese and really in charge. So basically, you're there to assist him with his duties of administration and other pastoral responsibilities in running the diocese. Mm-hmm. And so you're really there to give him a hand and help along, because especially Sacramento's, I believe, the largest diocese in California, area-wise, and so there's a lot of outlying areas, and so to have a co-worker in the capacity as bishop could be very helpful.
Well, I read it's about 42,000 square miles compared to the Fresno diocese of about 35,000 square miles. And you've got more parishes up there than here.
There's over 100, I believe.
102, I think.
Right, you're right.
You've got 89 here. Yes. So, and more population in the Sacramento metropolitan area and so forth. Okay.
But this goes all the way up to Oregon and all the way north, and then the boundary goes all the way to Nevada and east, and so it's a lot of area.
Yeah. Now, part of your job, obviously, as you just explained, would be it will probably go to every single parish there eventually.
I think Bishop Soto is very anxious to kind of give me some of the confirmations. And start sharing, that whole circuit that the bishops do to visit the parishes with confirmation, and it's so he's looking forward to that, because that is a very tiring type of part of the bishop's life, to make those visits and to confirm the young people. So anyway, I know for sure I'll be helping with that.
Right. Now you're a Dos Palos boy, as they say, in the Central Valley, and I think, if the information is correct, that you are the first bishop of the Central Valley to be assigned a bishop from the Central Valley?
As auxiliary, I'm not sure if that's true or not, but I know this is the only one that came out of Dos Palos.
What is?
And also for with the Portuguese descent, the Azorean and all of that. Yes. So that's an honor also, and with the Portuguese speaking community and all of that background and presence here in the diocese and throughout the valley, actually, even up in the northern part where I'll be going. So
now, your background, or your family background, is from the Azores, really, not Portugal per se, but from the Azores.
From the islands, correct.
Right. So how is that? What's that difference when you say Portuguese? Everybody thinks of Portugal and that's it. What's the difference between that and the Azores?
Well, there's a big difference culturally. The language is probably the bridging type of thing there, and even that, there are different dialects, among the 9 islands. But, your basics, some of the customs, some of the traditions, the music, the food, things like that is the overlying connection. But yes, it's not the continent, let's put it that way.
Now, we have, of course, a large Portuguese community in the central San Joaquin Valley. Is there likewise in the North Valley?
I don't know if it's as strong as here, but up in Elk Grove area, Sacramento area, there's the presence of the Portuguese-speaking community, and actually there's the National Church of St. Elizabeth in Sacramento for the Portuguese, and so they still have Mass there in Portuguese on Sunday, I was told, and so yeah, there is a presence there in that part of the state.
Of course, you speak Portuguese naturally, and you speak Spanish and naturally English, so you're going to be very versatile in that part of the country.
Some practice, I guess, with the Spanish for sure, and the Portuguese maybe, we'll see.
What do you think is the major issues that face pastors today in really any parish?
Of course, it's the numbers, the big factor here is the vocations and having, again, future co-workers to kind of help and to relief and to share and all of that. So I think that's probably the biggest challenge for priests now, is that am I going to get help? Am I, going to have to put in a few extra years? So the reality of a lack of the manpower to cover the parishes, and then now to make some changes that might be necessary as far as, the amount of service we can give to a parish. Maybe it's going to have to be limited. Maybe it's empowering the people to be more active, people who have the skills that would be very helpful for the priest in his administration of a parish. And so sharing that and not owning it all could be a big help there.
You feel that the parishioners have to get more involved in their parishes because of, again, the lack of number of priests that are
I think so.
available?
Those especially that God has blessed with talents and that could be very useful, that sometimes a priest doesn't have, like in the area of business management or something, administration. And so it is, again, that stewardship of the time, the talent of the people, of God's people, and not being fearful to exercise that for the sake of the church, for their parish. So the laity has a big role, I think, as the Pope Francis has been saying, everybody has their part to do, and we need to get busy to do it, not to wait for someone else to do it. What can we offer?
How do you entice young men and women to enter the religious life? Obviously, that's a major question, but how do you get them to get involved?
Well, the church says the best vocation directors are the priests in the parish. So if people are seeing a joyful priest, a happy priest, a priest that's fulfilled in what they're doing, that's going to convey, to the young people, and saying, maybe this is an alternative to take, to reflect on, to take into consideration with my life. And it's for the priest, I think, to point out qualities in individuals, young people around them, and say, hey, have you ever thought about the priesthood, or you might make a good priest, because, or those little seeds, not only from the priests, but from God's people, really do plant the seeds. Because in my own experience, people back in the parish in Dos Palos would ask that question. Seeing that you were involved, seeing that you were kind of, participating in things. So.
Yeah. Somebody asked you that question when you were a young man?
I had said earlier today, and somebody was asking me something, that a nun, one of the teachers in Catholic school in Dos Palos, said you're going to be a priest. One day you're going to be a priest. Yeah, well, you're going to be a priest one day. I'm thinking, okay, whatever you say, sister, But anyway, people see, I guess, characteristics or qualities or something in an individual, and they're saying, there's something going on here with a person. Maybe they have a calling, a vocation, and so it's being attentive to that. And I think the people of God need to have a role in that too, and families have to have a role in that. The vocations come from families. So are they fostering, vocations under their own roof? And some of that's not happening because of the reality of life now, and families are broken up and there isn't that core there because of all kinds of reasons. But I think that has had a negative effect on that because you don't have the luxury of that because of however life panned out for people, So.
How long does it take to become a priest? I mean, we hear some people young men starting sooner, or young women starting sooner, but how long does it really take? What are the processes?
Well, in this day and age now, you don't have the high school preparatory school like the pastoral center here used to be, Ryan's preparatory school, where for the high school age fellows contemplating going to the seminary. So that type of reality is out now. So, and some of the colleges that were opened up, seminary colleges, also are closed. But the norm was 8 years. You had 4 years of college and then 4 years of theology. And now that's kind of a little different. There's houses of formation, and if people come in with degrees already, so it could be the minimum, maybe 5 years preparation, 6 years instead of the 8, because you have to kind of catch up with philosophy and all these things. No matter if you've got all kinds of degrees in other fields and walk of life, you still need to kind of catch up. But I would say coming in as a late vocation, like myself and others at that time, it was like a 5-year program for some of the fellows.
I know that when I was growing up, somebody pointed at me at one time, do you think about it? And obviously I didn't. But the young boys were coming in, as you said, a lot younger then. You're getting, college graduates now that really are older young men coming into the priesthood.
It seems like it's swinging back the other way now, that the fellows are a little younger than when I was in the seminary. There were a lot of later vocations. Mm-hmm. And guys had been out in the world and all that, and professionals, and then they just felt this call that, hey, this isn't fulfilling me. There's more to life here, and I'm here to figure out if this is what the fit is. Mm-hmm. And but now I would say it's kind of tending to go the other direction, a little younger now coming in.
Now, Pope Francis has sort of set the pace and the bar, I guess, for the clergy around the world and for humanity as a whole. How do in his 10 years in his position, how do you see that?
Well, he is challenging everybody, and I think Pope Francis is trying to get back to the basics of what the church is about and what's the mission of the church, and to go out of oneself and bring the church out to the people, not expecting the people to come to the church. So, have we missed the boat a little bit with that, being caught up in all kinds of things? So I think he's trying to refocus the church to say, this is the call, this is the purpose of the church, and how do you play into it? Because everybody has a role in this. Mm-hmm. Clergy, bishops, the laity, everybody. And so he's kind of waking us up a little bit, I think, or it's like a renewal type taking place, which John Paul II and Pope Benedict were always reminding us of that. The new Pentecost, the new evangelization, this renewal. And so is this coming to a head with him? Who knows, but he's getting the attention not only of the church, but of the world. Mm-hmm. So.
Now he's asking people to smell like they're sheep. Mm-hmm. In his last papers that came out. And how do you interpret that?
Again, it's being among the people. Like, don't be afraid to be among the people. And that's just an expression he's using, of course, but it's like, don't separate yourself from them. Get there and in the messiness of things, and the smell of what you're doing there, like you're getting your hands dirty, that type of thing. He's saying, mm-hmm. you got to get involved like Jesus did. He immersed himself in the mess of things. People that you wouldn't want even to be with and be in their presence. He was breaking down those barriers, saying, I'm here for everyone. So do we put up barricades, or are we willing to, pick up, like that expression he said, among the people, to be one with them? And so there's that sense of a connectedness. Mm-hmm. I think that's what he means, of course, but he uses very expressive ways of describing it. You get the point.
He also seems to have the opulence, you might say, of the papal image. Simple dress and driving his own car and not being in the papal apartment and so forth. Is that giving you an image of trickle down to
Well, he has kind of other little notes going out and little comments. Yes, it's kind of trickling down to how do we look at priesthood? Is it is there degrees of clericalism in there? Something's owed to me, positions and a pedestal thing. For sure that's not his style, and it should never be the style anyway. But it's kind of trickling down, yes. Because he had mentioned something recently about Monsignors too, it's like, don't be sending the requests in here because I'm not going to be honoring them unless the individual is at least 65 years of age and he has really done exceptional work, for his diocese and really got in there with the people, you know what I mean? That whole thing again. And it says, okay, there's a nice pat on the back and here's an honorary title for you. But just to be divvying out, no. So
you're
he's
the last of the monastery?
Yes, I do. I guess I just made it under the line or something. But
and now you're losing it.
Now I'm losing it. Yeah. And anyway, yes.
We've got some pictures that you can't see right now, but we're going to show you in your ordination days, etc. And a stealth young man moving along. How were those years when you first become a priest? And it's almost, I guess you're reliving it to some degree because you're going to be a bishop for the first time and going into new places. How do you do that as a new priest? What are your thoughts and fears at that particular time in your life?
You could get all filled with anxiety and concerned about things, but it's really, again, kind of letting go and just saying, okay, I'm responding. Lord, you guide me, give me what I need here to do what you're calling me to do here, whatever lays before me. So it's truly entrusting everything and kind of relaxing in that. But it is a learning curve and it is a huge step. And just like any vocation, like marriage in itself too, taking a big step, there's a bunch of unknowns and you learn as you go along. But are we staying focused on Christ and what he's asking us to do? Or do we get off in tangents and then let all these worries and anxieties take over and blur everything? So it's this constant being prayerful, being focused, and if we believe God is with us, then we're going to be able to do what he's laid before us. It might not be easy at times, but it's not that he's not there, helping you, encouraging you, gracing you, and then the prayers and support of the people around us, So.
Now, in looking ahead to being a bishop, and your agenda, I guess, would be the thing. Obviously, I haven't given thought to that, but as a priest, looking, etc., do you have an agenda on your life as a priest and where you would like to see things go?
Going up to Sacramento, you mean?
Yeah, going anywhere. Whether you went to Sacramento or whether you went
I think it's just being faithful in what you're called to do, and minister to the people and be present to them and, be involved in what you are as a priest, as teacher, and are you there, what are you doing in your preaching, how you're living your faith yourself, and how you're putting into action the graces that God has given you, and the talents and the gifts that God has given you, and putting that to use for the sake of the church. Mm-hmm. But agenda, I think it's just being faithful to the call. I mean, there's nothing that strikes out, this is what I hope to do, or no, you be yourself and open to the guidance of the Spirit in your life, and things just happen. It's that openness, I think, has been the big key to it. And always coming back, I remember when I went to the seminary, because I had a lot of things that really could work against me because of going in later age, starting school again. I had a list. It was about the end of the first semester, and all of a sudden it dawned on me, everything that I've been concerned about hasn't even materialized. It never materialized. And it's like you were doing what you were needing to do, responding to what at that moment God wants you to do, and things were just smoothly going along, and all of a sudden, my gosh, you got through the first semester already, and that dawned on me. Then when you get to the point of ordination, if this is truly what you're calling me to do, just like the seminary going in, then Lord, if this is it, I can't do it without you. You're going to have to give me the grace that I need, because really the odds seem against me. So you're going to have to do it. I'm going to cooperate here, but I can't do this without you. Well, here I am now at this crossroads. that whole mantra type of a prayer type of repeat comes back to my attention. And I think that's what helped me, even coming, to Fresno as Vicar General, coming to that point again. If this is what you're calling me to be, because I don't know a thing about it, you're going to have to help me do this. So
you've got to believe then in your prayers. You've got to put your hands in your life in God's hands.
Trusting everything.
And you have lived that mantra since you became a priest. What can we touched briefly, but what can parishioners do for the church itself? I mean, that's some people go to church and they go in the pew and they listen and they go home and I'll come back next Sunday.
No, again, the Pope and Pope Benedict himself also stressed that year of faith. That was, to me, I think, a tremendous opportunity for people to break out of what you just described, Colin. And there was a whole means of growing in faith, ways to do that. Going to the Catholic Catechism, reviewing these things, going to the Scriptures, because that's where you come to know Christ. And the whole thing of that year was, the focus was, you need to come into a personal connection with Jesus here. And until that happens, you might go through the motions. And you're not going to be truly alive. And the Pope has expressed things in his way. The same thing, you're not alive. You still haven't opened yourself up to him enough to really know what he's offering you here. And so you had all those opportunities of trying to break out of that if one needed to, or if one feels like, hey, I feel like I'm on the right track, well then growing in that and strengthening in that year of faith. But to come and sit in the pew and go through the motions and go home and think I did it, there's a lot more here. And the world needs the witness of a lot more. And so that was the year of faith, and it doesn't mean the year of faith ended. We continue to keep that in our minds, and are we open to grow and educate ourselves, get involved in service, volunteering for things, getting your hands dirty, that thing again.
The youth, of course, is a major issue in all aspects of life, in trying to get, we talked earlier about energizing young men and women to take on this life that right. you have taken on. There's no secret to it, as you said, you just simply have to, quite frankly, ask them if they might be interested. And
then I think the individual needs to be kind of sensitive to the promptings of the Holy Spirit within them. There's going to be kind of like hints that kind of come along in our life, and you think, well, why am I kind of thinking that, or why am I being drawn to this? And well, that's God's grace working in us, and so to teach them, I think, just to be kind of sensitive to those type of things when they have those experiences. Where's that coming from? Why is that thought into my head, my mind? Well, maybe it's the Holy Spirit tapping you there, wanting you to kind of contemplate something, reflect on this. And
you just got to be aware of that, or parents be aware of that in order to, yes. Obviously, lots of kids aren't aware of a lot of things, but grandma and grandpa and mom and dad can maybe give them a hint and so forth. And,
right.
And
setting some of that fundamental building blocks of the faith at home, because the home has been described as the domestic church. So is it truly, where's the education taking place? Are the families living up to that, the parents?
Now you're going to be ordained in Sacramento on March the 25th, which I believe is the date, a Tuesday. And I believe the entire Central Valley will want to come up and join you, but that's going to be impossible. Yes. But we are certainly going to do something here on KNXT up there. But what would you tell folks who want to come up there? The church has only so much space,
there's
obviously.
Limited seating, of course, and just a little over 1,200, I was told, and it's going to be invitation-only ticket. Right. To get in because of limitations. So
sort of like the Super Bowl.
Yes. So I mean, that is going to be the tough thing, to say, okay, what are we really permitted realistically to give numbers to them? So we're working right now hand in hand and trying to work that out. Yeah. But again, with Channel 49 being able to be there, then the people could see this, and maybe we could view it again here and right. Here at the diocese, right. and everybody could watch it that couldn't be there. Good.
you know.
So I think that's a good way, a good backup.
Certainly.
Yeah.
You're going to be bouncing back and forth between here and Sacramento naturally in the next 30 days and more. Any specific things that you're going to have to do in that time, other than clean your house out, find another one?
I can find out where Bishop Soto wants me to live. So I still don't know all of that. So there's a lot of little preliminary things that are kind of the busyness of things. You wish they were done already, you know, so you could kind of be a little more focused on other things, but it's just the way it is, you know. But it's just kind of settling in, making the transition, but I think once I'm there, boom, you're going to get going. I think Bishop, you know, already has things lined up. He's going to send me a schedule of confirmation schedules already, so I could start, you know, plugging in with my schedule and already detaching from things that I made a compromise, a promise to help out and do. Now I'm going to have to bail out because I just can't do it now.
What'll be your home parish there? Do you know yet?
No.
You know,
No.
just pick one at random because you're the bishop, so
Yeah, right.
you're able to go wherever you want to every Sunday, right?
No, I see again, even all that, that's all, we still need to talk about all that.
Yeah.
So like I said, it's at the very beginning of the transition, but things have to move pretty quickly though, you know, and we can't be sitting back on some of this stuff. But so their wheels are turning and our wheels are turning this way and trying to work together and communicate back and forth, and it unfolds.
Well, you will be deeply missed. We hate to see you go, but we love the promotion. And the Pope made the right move at the right time. We all knew it was going to happen. We just didn't know when.
Thanks.
But,
it is a very bittersweet type of a reality. But anyway, that's fine. But God will help us through it all here to make the transition.
As a bishop, you'll have more power to your prayers now, right? So in turn, pray for all of us here in the Central Valley and for KNXT and for all of the folks here at the
The
diocese.
diocese is a great diocese, and the people of God and the priests, everybody. You know, so it's been as I said earlier, it's been a good run.
Right, 26 years.
As a priest, and a little over 14 years here, a little more than half of my priesthood has been here. So
fantastic.
it's been a good run. Yeah.
Well, we thank you very much.
Thanks,
we wish you the very best,
Right,
and like I say, pray for all of us, and we'll say some prayers for you.
You too.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.